Feeling the fear and doing it anyway. How many times have you been stopped in your tracks by fear? Fear seems to be a disabling, crippling epidemic and very real in our society. We fear beginnings, endings, change, staying stuck, success, failure, living, dying, and so much more. It seems that every turn, nook, and cranny of life is just filled with fear. The only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to go out and do it, says Susan Jeffers. Whenever we take a chance and enter unfamiliar territory or put ourselves into the world in a new way, we experience fear. Very often this fear keeps us from moving ahead with our lives. The trick is to feel the fear and do it anyway. I know, easier said than done. So many of us short-circuit our living by choosing the most comfortable path. Does this sound like you? I know it sounds like me sometimes. Do you know what is the underlying cause of your fear? Fear can be broken down into 3 levels. The first level is the surface story, i.e. Jenny wants to break up with her narcissistic partner, but cannot make the required leap into the next step. This level of fear can be divided into 2 types, those that happen and those that require action. Here is a partial list of level 1 fears divided into these 2 types. So let's take a look at these level 1 fears. Those that happen: aging, becoming disabled, retirement, being alone, change, natural disasters, loss of financial security, just to name a few. And those that require action: losing weight, making decisions, changing your career, making friends, ending or beginning relationship, having a child, asserting oneself, also just to name a few. I'm sure you have a few more that you could add to the list, and you wouldn't be alone if you said to yourself, I got some of the above, or even all of the above. There is a reason for this. One of the insidious qualities of fear is that it tends to permeate many areas of our lives. For example, if you fear making new friends, then it stands to reason you also fear going to parties, having intimate relationships, applying for jobs, and so on. This is made clear by looking at the second layer of fear, which has a very different feel from that of level 1. Level 2 fears are not situation orientated. They involve the ego. At the bottom of every one of your fears is simply the fear that you can't handle whatever life may bring you. Susan Jeffers quote. Let's take a look at these level 2 fears. They are rejection, success, failure, being vulnerable, being conned, helplessness, disapproval, loss of image. Level 2 fears have to do with inner state of mind rather than exterior situations. They reflect your sense of self and your ability to handle this world. This explains why generalized fear takes place. If you're afraid of being rejected, this fear will affect almost every area of your life: friends, intimate relationships, job interviews, and so on. Rejection is rejection wherever it is found. So you begin to protect yourself and as a result greatly limit yourself. You begin to shut down and close out the world around you. Level 3 gets down to the nitty-gritty of the issue. The biggest fear of all, the one that really keeps you stuck. Let's take a look at this level 3 fear. I can't handle it. That's it? That's the big deal? I know you're disappointed and wanted something much more dramatic than that. But the truth is this: at the bottom of every one of your fears is simply the fear that you can't handle whatever life may bring you. Let's test this theory. Level 1 fears translate to, I can't handle being alone. I can't handle making a mistake, and I can't handle making a fool out of myself. The level 2 fears translate to, I can't handle the responsibility of success. I can't handle failure. I can't handle being rejected. And so the level 3 fear translates to, I can't handle it. The truth is, if you knew you could handle anything that came your way, what would you possibly have to fear? The answer is nothing. Not only am I going to experience fear whenever I'm in unfamiliar territory, but so is everyone else. Susan Jeffers quote, I know you're not jumping up and down for joy about the news I've just delivered, but believe me when I tell you I've just given you a great piece of news. What I've just told you means you can handle all your fears without having to control anything in the outside world. This should be a tremendous relief. You no longer have to control what your mate does, what your friends do, what your children do, what your boss does, or even what your family does. All you have to do to diminish your fear is to develop your trust in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. So feel the fear and do it anyway. From this moment on, every time you feel afraid, remind yourself that it's simply because you're not feeling good enough about yourself. I know some fear is instinctual and healthy and keeps us alert to trouble. The rest, the part that holds us back from personal growth, is inappropriate and destructive and perhaps can be blamed on our conditioning, what I like to call our ego. In all my life, I've never heard a mother call out to her child as they go off to school, "Take a lot of risks today, darling." Instead, you hear, "Be careful, darling." This "be careful" carries with it a double message. The world is really dangerous out there and you won't be able to handle it. What mom is saying, of course, is if something happens to you, I won't be able to handle it. You see, she's only passing on her lack of trust in her ability to handle what comes her way. Considering how many be carefuls our parents have bombarded us with, it's amazing we even managed to walk out the front door. Apart from such seemingly obvious connections, the cause of our fear quite simply lies elsewhere. But does it matter where our self-doubt comes from? I believe not. It is often impossible to figure out what the actual cause of negative patterns are. Even if we did know, the knowing doesn't necessarily change it. I believe if something is troubling you, simply start from where you are and take the necessary action to change it. In this case, you know that you don't like the fact that a lack of trust in yourself is stopping you from getting what you want out of life. Knowing this creates a very clear, even laser-like focus on what needs to change. You don't have to scatter your energy wondering why. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you begin to develop your trust in yourself until you reach the point where you can start, whatever happens to me, giving any situation, I can handle it. Never let these 3 little words out of your mind. Possibly the most important 3 little words ever spoken and heard. I'll handle it. Namaste, guys.